Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed, alongside of me, Harry Glanz.
Good morning, Harvey, and it's glad to be back with you and our guests in the studio. It's just I miss it when I'm not here, Harvey. I miss being with you on a Saturday morning.
These live shows are a lot of fun to bring.
Best.
1 hour mortgage real estate talk. We do podcasts throughout the week. We get energized then. We try to bring some really great consumer advocate information to the show here. We're on our 23rd year, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Give us a call, 1-800-LOW-RATE. You will get a great low rate. We'll talk all about why else you have to call us. There's more to a mortgage than a low rate. Lisa Lawson joins us.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, Lisa. We'll talk about mortgages for sure and real estate. And you bring in a great guest this morning. I'll let you introduce him if you want.
Yes. Jacques is here. Jacques Gagnon, Keller Williams, is our visitor, and he's going to kind of keep us in the loop with what's going on in the market today.
Can you imagine? Hey, Jacques, what's up, buddy?
How you doing there?
Good. Can you imagine growing up with a name like Jacques Gagnon? I mean, does that get you a couple doors? And I had Harry Glass. I mean, you tell me.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
what
not
was your
getting
name?
anywhere.
Jacques Gagnon. Although my parents were marketing geniuses because nobody would ever name their kid that, but a name like Jacques Gagnon, you can do a lot of things with that.
A lot of class there, that's for sure.
I appreciate that, guys. It's always a name that you'll never forget. That's for sure.
We're going to talk real estate with you, sir, all morning long. Of course, Keller Williams, Lakeside, and Macomb, and on the Tri-County area. You do a lot of business everywhere. You actually do all types of business. And I've seen you do all sides of marketing, and I'm impressed. You know, you're a grindstone guy. I know you were hitting the calls early in January and stuff, and there's a lot of buyers out there. So we've been asking the inventory question at the beginning of the year, saying, hey, where are we at now? Did anything open the door? Are there a few more listings out there?
I wish I had good news about the listing inventory, but right now we're still low, record low inventory. There are more homes coming, as they always do in the spring, but there's also a lot of buyers out there. So we're going to have another fun year of real estate, and we'll definitely be braced in and ready to go.
Yeah, Jacques, we're experiencing times right now that we have never seen before in terms of the inventory, in terms of really the craziness in the market, supply and demand, low supply, very high demand. So we're still seeing it's the bidding wars and what homes are selling for right now in an interest rate increasing environment. It's really creating a situation for buyers where, you know, I'm talking to all our realtor partners, you included. We had you on the podcast this past Wednesday. What a great podcast. Best podcast in years, okay? Because we give it to people straight. It's going like this, that if you're not prepared, you're not going to win that house. And you're going to have to overbid. Let's face it. Let's tell everybody right now, things are not going down. Prices are not going down. The number of people out there bidding on homes, not going down. And what you're having to bid on these houses, it's not going down, right?
Yeah, you're correct. The idea of I'm going to wait for later to let the prices drop. We're going to see another year of overbidding. There's going to be definitely appraisal guarantees in place, and just because you're paying over appraisal does not mean you're going to lose value. You're not going to be upside down at all. People from 2020 were scared that they're going to be upside down. Last year, buyers were scared too, but now I'm still telling you guys it's going to be okay.
Lisa, we talked about it on the podcast with Jacques and Harvey and John Cole, Becky Alley, everybody in our office. We talk about this. This is a generational thing. Mm-hmm. When your parents were buying their home where you lived in, your grandparents told them they were crazy. Mm-hmm. They said it's too high. Then when we went and we bought our houses in the neighborhoods we bought it, our parents said, you're crazy. It's too high.
Right.
And now our kids are buying homes and we're saying what?
It's crazy. It's too
You're
high.
crazy. It's
However,
too high.
Yeah,
our
Harry.
rates are the lowest. People forget that.
Right.
And it does play into it. So, yes, the price might be a little bit more. However, the rates are less. You're still getting more bang for your buck, especially compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Still a smart decision.
The only thing that's gone down, Harvey, are the rates compared to the 1960s, right? Mm-hmm. So rates right now are at about 1965, 66 levels. So that means they went up throughout the 70s and 80s, and then they came back down. Then they went to the lowest they were in 2020, 21. Everybody out there, they're not going down to that level, but they're 1960s level right now.
Yeah.
We talked about real circumstances, the mortgage rates, stock market, home prices, gas prices, utility costs, right? All these things. Go pick your topics, right? Grab a bottle of wine, pick your topics, and you can discuss it all night long. Be prepared, be more knowledgeable is really the marketplace today. And then what we would see, literally, I think comfortably say this, maybe until about 5 years ago, it would be unheard of to be paying over appraised value. And that is the norm in today's marketplace. And you got to be preparing your people to go ahead and make those offers.
Yeah, so as a buyer, you have to have a buyer's agent. You have to have those conversations. And not only that, when you are going to be doing that, you have to have the funds in place. So we're not talking down payment anymore in our buyer consultations. We're talking down payment and appraisal guarantees. And as a listing agent as well, if your buyers are bringing appraisal guarantees, that money should be sourced beforehand. So make sure that you're hiring an agent that does their due diligence and understands those things, and understand that the lender has those things verified too. You can call anybody in this room right now as a buyer's agent, and they will verify the gift funds and the appraisal guarantees. So there's a huge advantage of who you work with.
So, Lisa, the best question I had of the week, I was out with somebody, and they said to me, are you going to keep looking at my bank statements? Are you going to want more? Are you going to need more bank statements? You need to know where my money's coming from? Yes. We need to know up until the transaction's closed where your money's coming from, and any large deposits
I
that
tell
go
people,
in that account.
We're going to be all up in your business until the day you close. So, that means if your grandma's giving you 10 grand as a gift and it was an unexpected gift, then it happens. Grandma finds out you're buying a house. She's all excited for you. She's like, you know what? I'm going to give you $10,000. I was always planning on it. It's a surprise. They didn't know. That's wonderful. But you can't just dump that check in your account without giving us a shout. We have to source everything. It's much easier to get that documentation up front and try to go to the bank after it's been deposited, because you don't believe in receipts, right? Everyone's paperless. You didn't get your your confirmation of deposit out of the ATM, said, print receipt, and you wrote no. Well, now you got to go into a teller. And some banks require you to make an appointment. And now you got to take off work. Just let us know what you're doing ahead of a time, and we can make sure you've got everything in advance, and we'll be good to go.
And we got to tell Grandma, Harvey, hey, Grandma, we're going to get in your business, because we got to see where you got that money from.
Yeah, and not on all, but a canceled check on conventional loans. Write a bank statement on FHA. Hey, you can give us a call. We want to hear from you. 248-539-9797. We take your calls all morning long till 10 o'clock. Tons of sports. We are going to get into that vibe about March Madness, basketball. Green. It's craziness. It's getting really exciting here at the studio, and I feel the vibe. But real estate is that same vibe, Jack. March Madness, that's the spring madness that we're about to walk into. Much has changed really to start 2022. Things have changed because now they crossed over the border and we got this war going on. Interest rates have bumped up to probably looking like 2019, but still at these all-time lows.
Yeah, so the things that have changed in 2022 is the confidence. You're seeing the confidence diminish a little bit with the prices of gasoline, the prices at the grocery store. I went to get some items at the grocery store for my daughters, and you look at the receipt compared to what you have in your cart, and you can feel the pain a little bit. But that doesn't mean that we're down and out. This is going to be a new wave. As we talked about on the podcast, things are here to stay for a while. Mm-hmm. And it's a time to adjust, have a game plan in place, and live life.
Right. You have to have a place to live. And like I said, this is a generational thing. It happened. It happened to our grandparents, parents, us, our kids. It's happening. This is a generational thing. I don't know anybody that moved into their neighborhood and paid less than their parents paid. Okay, do you know that? No. Does that happen?
No.
Lee,
we wish.
Still with all these great programs out there, so we're going to talk about qualifying some of the basic stuff of a mortgage. And that way, when the families and Jacques, when they come to you, and you get a lot of pre-approvals from places that you've never heard of. And you're not familiar with these, maybe a new broker that jumped into this market. And sometimes these whole transactions do fall apart. I've witnessed a couple just in the last few weeks where it's a lack of education. Like you say, use the word confidence and stuff. Lise, there's some great programs out there, but they have to get in front of us, get their documents in, because they have to be able to answer this question. When Jacques calls you and calls me as a lender, I have to be able to confidently tell them we've run the file through the automated system. It's approved. We've taken a look at everything involved, income, debt to income ratio. You can't use overtime lease if you just started a new job.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. You have to get the documents. You have to actually do the work and look at it and review it. Absolutely.
We're going to talk about getting in front of people and getting those documents in front of us to make sure that you can close on time. When we come back, all your calls, 248-539-9797. I promise, Harry, I'll behave myself. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. That's right. We offer every program. Consistent, honest communication. You want to buy a house, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's how you get it done. Here live in the studio, Jacques Gagnon, Keller Williams, Lakeside. Huge office, huge business in Macomb. We always say Macomb's always been
Hot.
the bright spot here. And then, even moving out further now your folks out there saying, you know what? I don't like all this. I keep going north and
Northern
New
Macomb.
Haven.
Yeah, Hall Road was the big thing. Then
Yeah.
23. Now we're seeing 26 developing like crazy. Outside of my office at 25 in Van Dyke, the development is crazy. Everybody's moving north too. The whole COVID thing of being on top of each other has really changed the ideas of finding more land. So you have places like Armada, Romeo, Elmont even. They were seeing these developments because, it's only a 15-minute car drive to the city, which is 26 Mile Road now.
Yeah,
Right.
and those cities have always had their bright spots in some downtown walkable areas too, which makes it a lot of fun. If you need an approval, be sure to call Capital Mortgage. We'll get you hooked up with the great real estate agents that know these areas back and forth. And again, what's the next one? Marlette. Keep going. Just keep headed up the
keep
highway
heading
there.
north. Yeah,
Well, the
you keep heading north.
evolution of the workforce that you can work remote if you have that type of job. Of course, you cannot build a car in your living room.
No,
okay,
you
so if it's an electronic business and you can work, from remotely from wherever, then people are going to live. It's always been an adage, you have to live where you live. You're going to work where you're going to work. Now even more so, right? Because you can work remotely.
Hey, let's move off to a call here. And again, if you want to join the show, 248-539-9797. We got Lori on the line. Thanks for calling in. Or it's Bob. Go ahead. Give us a call. What do you got?
Hey, how you doing? Good morning to you guys.
It's
Bob, good
Bob.
morning.
Bob, are you calling on behalf of your daughter or something?
My son.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah. And I think it's a question a lot of people around this area. He lives in Arizona. He got a mortgage about a year ago. He's got a great rate. He didn't have a huge down payment. And I'm wondering, with the rise of the home values, he's got PMI on his loan, I think.
Yep.
I'm almost positive.
Probably, yeah.
Can he get out of that PMI if his house went up $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in a year?
Oh, yeah. Lisa, you
Without
doing the
refinancing it or whatever?
I think Lisa's pulling out her calculator
Yeah.
already, but yes, that's what we're seeing. So rates might be up a little bit from when he actually bought, but if he can remove the private mortgage insurance, now he has more money coming off principal. Lease, what's the LTV got to be? What are the appraised value now has to be what?
Right. Well, I guess it depends what he paid for it because he hasn't told us yet.
Oh yeah, what did he pay?
So he paid $400,000 for the home.
Okay, so $40,000 increase in value isn't going to get you to remove that PMI unless you put at least 10% down from the get-go.
He put 50 down.
So he put
So-
just over.
No, that's 80. That would be 80. So
No,
put
no.
50.
Yeah, so be good.
He put
So we're
50
there.
down,
Yeah.
and it went up about 40.
Yeah, he'd be
so
good.
you'd be good.
Yep.
He's one of those candidates.
Yeah.
We plug those into the computer at work all the time when we reach back out to our clients to say, look, the PMI does fall off and you never have to touch it, but it's about 6 to 8 years. One of the other things, too, so yeah, he definitely should do that to see if it's going to benefit him before these interest rates, Harry, climb anymore because they're not going to be lower.
Right. Well, it just rate
Right.
might be irrelevant to him because if he could save the difference in PMI, then that's what you
Right.
want to do. You want to get him out of that PMI situation. So Harvey and Lisa will give you a call after the show and go over it
Okay.
because, of course, we do loans in 50 states.
There you go. Hey,
Oh, okay.
what city
All
is he in Arizona? Where is he?
Glendale.
Oh, very
Yeah,
good.
sure.
Yeah,
Great.
right, and my girls are out there too, and it's good country out there.
Harvey knows it
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That's my new background. Yeah, that's my new backyard now.
All right.
Alrighty.
It's hot out there. But,
Yes, sir.
It's great right now, that's for sure.
All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. Lisa, great conversation about that. Families got the PMI 5-10% down in the last 2 years. They're going to probably next year already have 20% equity.
Yeah.
We just have to do the math.
Right. It's just math. So, maybe in that situation, he'd only put 3% down. He might be close, not quite there. But there's other programs. There's lender paid MI. There's a million different things that we can do. But give us a call. We can save you money every month, even if, like I said, the rate ticks up a tiny bit. If the PMI drops off and your monthly payment's lower, it's still a positive cash flow. So let us know. Crunch the numbers.
Jacques purchases are going to be, they're already started this year. Again, there's some definite bumps we got going on. There's some uncertainty, but the economy's pretty good here in Michigan. Again, we're a little scared here with this war thing. Everyone is. Prices are up about 10%. Is that what you're seeing? So let's just go with the number there. So if it's about a $300,000 house in early 2021, about last year this time, that house in Macomb, let's say 48044, that house could be worth about $329 this year.
Yes. It's a the values have increased a ton. So especially in the 48044, let's use that one for example. You're seeing prices that for the 380s go up into the 460s even.
Right.
So the increases have definitely stepped up a lot. So in the last 2 years, we have seen a ton of equity pour into it. And just like Lisa did earlier, when the gentleman Bob called for about his son, she was able to calculate that very quickly. So that's the beautiful thing about working with an educated team. You can call them at any time, and they'll give you the answers quickly and educated without any sales pitch at all, which is nice. But yeah, home values are increasing. This is going to be another record-breaking year, but it's all going to work out just fine for everybody. It always does.
They're not done yet.
Nope, they're not done yet.
Home sales, record-breaking home prices. By the way, Arizona, if the listener's still listening, Arizona was the number one state last year for appreciation, almost 29%.
Oh, wow.
So,
Well, you just taught me something. I didn't know
You're
that.
better off putting less down.
No, that's
there
why
you go.
That's why you got this, right? So, I didn't make it up. It's right here. And home prices aren't done setting those records from 2021. Okay, 2022, the prices are going to be higher. All right, that's just the way it's going right
Correct,
now.
because we have the appraisal values on record still from last year. So those appraised values and those sold values are going to carry
Drive
the
them up.
appraisals for this year. So it's going to be a great year for sellers, but the buyers, the interest rates are still low. So do not run. Now's the time to run to a qualified agent to start looking for a home.
Lisa, I'm an advocate out here. Let me jump in with
Yeah.
this. I'm an advocate for the less money down because then you always have the money in your back pocket.
Correct.
Still got families that are a little concerned about PMI as if it's the worst thing in the world. That money you keep is always there and it's available for you. So
Right.
you need to redo a kitchen in the future. You don't have to go get the home equity loan. You don't have to redo your mortgage.
Right. Not only that, or tap into reserves that maybe you've had. There's something to be said. Yes, obviously, if you have a great large down payment, that's wonderful. But that's not always the best thing for you. I mean, if you're trying to buy a home that you're looking at the kitchen and you're like, I'm going to have to gut this and tear it out in a year, or, there's other improvements you want to make to the house, put a little less down, use the money that you already have, and do those improvements right after closing. Don't get a home equity line of credit. I mean, it's always going to be at a higher rate. You know what I mean? So, use that money wisely. And yes, you may pay PMI, but PMI will eventually fall off on a conventional loan.
Yeah.
And then, or we refinance you and, because you've made improvements.
There's a
And then
couple
it's still
things that you
fine.
have to remember.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the current value of your cash is worth more now than in the future, right? So what you can do and keep your cash now, that's more valuable. You do the home improvements, it's more valuable than possibly putting it all down. Now, the other key is that you have to be your thought process when you lay down your head on your pillow every night, you have to be comfortable with that mortgage payment. So if you want to put more money down because you are more comfortable with it, it's going to make you sleep better at night. Well, you have to do what's better for yourself. We always say it's situational. It's like baseball. You got to read the situation and you got to apply it to that. So everybody's situation is different, but if it makes you feel better to put more money down and it's more economically feasible, fine. But if you can get away with saving your cash, current value of your cash is worth more than the future value, then keep your cash.
Right now, usually your cash can make you more money than the few bucks you're going to save by putting an extra $10,000 down.
Or just keeping it.
Right, or keep it. But say you put $10,000 extra down, your payment's going to drop, depending on your rate, 40 to 50 bucks.
50 bucks, right.
So sometimes you could take that $10,000 and invest it, and you're going to be making way more than $50 a month. Even in high yield savings accounts, you're going to make that more than a month.
You can always recast the mortgage.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. So
On conventional
$250 to about $350 on conventional mortgages. Again, that's why you got to deal with the top lenders in town. So you don't deal on this. Your loan's getting sold all over to all these different brokers and stuff. You deal with a real lender who's going to fund underwrite your loan. Call Capital Mortgage Funding. We can do that for you. And again, recasting your loan is available if you put $10,000 or more. If it's just burning a hole in your pocket, Lisa, it's usually more than that, though. The families that are recasting, Jacques, and what we see now is we have to qualify them and go 5% down because they haven't sold their house. Now, we know they're going to sell their house, Jacques, but we have to have them approved and closed in 30 days. And what families are doing is sometimes just getting in with the bare minimum, and then after they sell their house, they might use all of the proceeds after what they net out of the house, and again, go ahead and use that to put down on the house in the future.
Yeah, that's something that happens a lot. And again, just because you have the 20% or 30% down doesn't mean you have to use it. Now, this goes back to, again, and I'll be saying this a lot today, is using the right team to stand behind you, that we can have these conversations. I can call Lisa, I can call Harvey, I can call Harry and say, hey, I have a buyer here. We have a ton of money down, but this house could use this, this, and this. What, in your expert opinion, should we do with this money? Should we go 5%, 10%, or 20% down, or what should we do? And again, it always goes back to working with qualified individuals that have your best interest in mind.
And having communication with an agent, because what you don't want to happen is, all right, you're going to reduce your down payment. Maybe you planned on 20, but you want to do some work to the house. Now you're going to put down 10. You don't want that to reflect that you may not be as strong a buyer. So it's so important to have communication with the agents because that needs to be communicated. My buyer originally was going to put down 20, but he was going to do some work to the home, so he's going to hold back. We're doing 10%. He's got the funds, but he wants to make improvements. He wants to make this his forever home, his family home, whatever the situation is. But to communicate that so they understand that that hasn't impacted his strength of being a buyer.
Yeah, so Jacques, I have a question for you. This could be the tough question of the day. So you have 5 offers coming in on a house, okay? 2 of them are 10% down, 2 of them are 20% down, and one's 30% down. Okay, as a realtor, experienced person, they all look the same on paper. All the prices are the same. Everything is the same except for the down payment. What do you do?
So this actually happens a ton, all the time. And the old adage is the higher the down payment, the better off you are. Then that's not true. Honestly, it's not at all, because that 30% down payment could be with a lender that I've never heard of, that on Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I understand everybody has families. I have one myself, but when you're active, you need to be able to pick up your phone. And if you put an offer in on one of my properties with 30% down, and I have the situation that you're describing, Harry, I will call every single lender if that lender hasn't called me, and I will verify. 30% down on paper may not be 30% down verified. You never know what you're working with. Believe it or not, there is agents out there that will put things on paper that may or may not be true. There may be lenders that do the same thing. I don't know.
Never heard that
It could
before.
be. Maybe it happens,
Right.
but the
No one
truth
saw
is,
it's coming. The money's coming from
Right.
somewhere. But it's
yeah,
not the
and we
direction
talked
we're
about this on the podcast about highest and best, and it's not always highest, sometimes the best. So it really does depend more, not just on what's down, but who's behind the offer too. If you have open line of communication, because I think, Harvey, you said earlier about deals falling apart. They do fall apart a lot, and the way that we work, we get them to the finish line so they don't have those issues.
There you go. 248-539-9797. Buying, selling real estate. Keep it here. We'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. I'm Harvey Freed, Harry Glanz, Lisa Lawson with Capital Mortgage Funding, Jacques Gagnon, Keller Williams Lakeside, and Becky Alley, who's on the line with us. Good morning, Becky. How are you?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Becky,
Hi, Beck.
Becky, I got to tell you, I'm trying not to make any eye contact with any Girl Scouts out there today. I mean, last Saturday, I think I spent like $1 million on Girl Scout cookies. I don't know if you got that going on at every vacant lot or what's going on down there. What's going on downriver? Give me some love.
Oh my, yeah, you definitely got to keep your eyes down when the Girl Scouts are hitting you. I got like a fridge full of these things right now, and with Mikkel working at the schools, man, she can't say no to any of them. So we just got all of the Girl Scout cookies.
Hey, mister, you know, you're trying to get out of the. I'm in a liquor store and they're yelling, hey, mister, I can't get out of there.
I will say this, the one thing that you do not keep your eyes down is all these open houses that are popping up. Literally, I was out earlier this morning. There's probably, I think, 3 or 4 in the area that, in like the Downriver Woodhaven area that I was in at the time. So what does that mean? That means that spring market has sprung a little bit, and we're seeing a little bit more inventory, which is a beautiful thing for these buyers.
Yeah, you see a lot of the open houses on Beck, and I hope you're having a great Saturday out there today. It's going to be a beautiful day to get out and get into the open houses. More and more are coming. I'm doing 3 open houses next week alone with 3 new listings that we have coming to the market. So it's that time of year. It's always fun. I always like to do cookies or give giveaways. During Halloween, I was giving away fireball shots at my open houses. Couldn't sign a contract because they were drinking. But you know what? They had some fun. They left my open house warm.
Oh, good enough. Definitely. So, Jacques, the highest and best offers, you get the house listed, of course. It hits there. There's a lot of excitement. There's going to be 25 to 50 families coming through that house. So one of the things we talked about the sellers, too, some of them have been told, look, besides locking everything up, maybe go away for the weekend.
Yeah, so I am doing these open houses. My seller said, I'm going away to sale for the weekend. What do you think? I said, the perfect time, because there's going to be so many people in a little $200,000 ranch in Shelby Township on a half acre. It's going to be, and I say the listing price, I think that's the starting bid price. We're calling these things now. But I'm anticipating 120 people through the doors in 3 days on that listing alone. So sometimes, it is plan with your agent in advance. Look at your schedule. You are going on spring break. If you're working with your agent, we bring camera systems in. If you don't have them, we have all different types of ways to make sure your home's secure. When I have a vacant home or an open house, I go every single night after showings to make sure that the key's back in there, the doors are locked, and nothing has been disturbed. So, again, it goes back again. I'll say it over and over. It's all about who you work with right now, because there's a ton of us out there. You can throw a dart and you can find an agent or a lender, but it's about who you work with that really gets you to the finish line, is make sure your highest investment's protected.
Yeah, before we went to break, we were talking about the 5 offers that were submitted, right? 2 with 10% down, 2 with 20, and 1 with 30. And I think what you mentioned is that you don't always go with the most down payment. You want to see some familiarity. Listen, we're human beings. Path of least resistance. We're going to go with what we know or who we know and the information and historically what we've gone through. So if you see something at 10% down, but you know the lender, you know the other realtor, and you feel that it's a solid communication process and you could just pick up the phone that second. Could be at 9:30 on a Sunday night, right? And you get somebody on the other end of the phone and they go through the transaction with you. Now, of course, we can't go over everything financially, but if you know that person and that person tells you, hey, listen, I've been working with these people for 6 months, because that's how long it's taken to find a house, they're solid. You're probably going to go with that offer if you don't know anything about those other 4, correct?
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely. Because, again, just because it says 30% down doesn't mean, and it says they're pre-qualified or pre-approved from a lender you've never met before or worked with, you don't know anything about that. So many times, and especially in these situations, after the appraisal comes, and that's why I say those funds that you're using for the appraisal guarantee have to be vetted, and I like to have them vetted before we get to that part. Yeah. Everybody assumes it's not going to. A lot of the agents and buyers, they we're not going to have to pay an appraisal guarantee. Well, we don't know that. Let's prepare beforehand so that when it does come up, we're not having hiccups. Because when it says 30 days to close on the PA, I want to close in 30 days or even less most times.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The idea of locking up the deal with a higher down payment and changing things down the road is a great idea in theory, but it has to be talked about.
Right.
So yes, to your point, Harry, if it's 10% down and I know the lender and I know the agent, I'm always going to recommend to my seller, again, it's not my decision, it's my seller's, but I'm going to put a couple extra gold stars on this one, maybe highlight it a little bit more and tell them why. and give them examples of what I've done with this lender or with that agent in the past.
That you know that they'll be there when you pick up the phone.
Correct.
All right, buying a house, Lisa, the dilemma always FHA, a conventional buyer. You can get in, first-time home buyers out there can get in conventionally with 3% down. And, of course, we know all about USDA and VA zero down transactions. But the 3% down conventional buyer, Lisa, that credit usually has to be a minimum of 660. So it's sort of a borderline there because conventional loans appear to be a better offer. So let's sort of clarify that a little bit. But sometimes that FHA loan, again, if it's for more money, it's an easier offer to get closed.
Right, especially if somebody's got a 660 credit score in that lower bucket. That 3% conventional is going to be a tough road. Usually they want to have a little bit more money. They want to have some reserves. I mean, 660 is like literally where we're going to start getting it. The PMI is not going to be pretty. Often when we have a 3% down conventional at 660, the private mortgage insurance is more than the FHA. So we will sometimes recommend, let's do FHA at 3.5%. Your payment's going to be less. The mortgage insurance is going to be less. We always try to do the best for the buyer. Even though they may have been able to go conventional, it doesn't mean that was the best decision for them, especially cash flow wise.
Jacques, it leads us right back to, again, looking at that extra money because these are now minimal down offers, low inventory. This is the fight out there. And as again, I was talking to some young people back in December. Now they got excited this week. And they're still not prepared yet. You got to have that extra money. It might be $5,000 or $10,000. You need, like you said, a $200,000 ranch. That house could get bid up $39,000 more.
Oh,
I bet it does.
More.
Yeah,
Stay tuned. You'll tell us next week.
Yep, absolutely. The whole idea of the listing price as the starting bid price, it's a funny but emotionally driven joke sometimes. It goes back. Let's talk about the FHA versus the conventional thing very quickly, because I've had a lot of buyers say, I couldn't get, or I worked with my agent and I couldn't do the FHA thing. I've had some FHA issues, but I've had a lot more FHA success stories than I have, and it all comes down to FHA repairs. A lot of listing agents won't take FHA because they're scared of repairs. Well, this buyer agent here, Mr. Jack Agnew, will go out there and do the FHA repairs with qualified contractors. That's what you have to do. If you have an FHA, you have to be right. So you know what? There's going to be a handrail that needs to be done, and I can walk a house when I show it to a buyer and tell you what's going to happen on FHA before we get there.
Right.
These electrical plugs needed that, so we had to get a contractor involved with that. We already have a game plan. So when we present the offer, I present my repair game plan with the offer, and I give confidence to the listing agent.
Yeah.
And we may beat out conventional FHAs because you know that when I'm working with my lender and you're working with me, we're going to get to the finish line. And when the repairs do come up, we're going to handle them. And the appraisal guarantee comes up, we have that funded and we have that vested already.
Right.
So
And verified.
We get that FHA appraisal.
I want to touch
Go
on
ahead,
that
Beck.
real quick. Just real quick. I have a situation that literally that what you guys are describing. So I had a buyer. They were right on that borderline of conventional financing, but the PMI was going to be insane, and it was silly to take them that direction because of the payment for them to not feel like they were as discriminated when their offers were being presented. So the agent reached out to me like, is there any way we can go conventional? I'm like, yeah, but it just doesn't make sense financially for this buyer. So they went and looked at a house, and she said, well, this offer or this house, they're not mentioning any FHA financing. So we had a conversation, and we decided, why don't you just reach out to the listing agent? Let's see why. She's like, I'm looking at this house. I think it's beautiful. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's a newer agent. Maybe they think FHA is a little bit more difficult than it should. And just let them know your buyer is willing to hit all those repairs and see if they'll entertain the FHA offer. And she had the conversations. It worked out. And our offer was actually accepted because we had the best terms.
I think that's awesome.
Just because you have FHA, it's all about that communication. Like Jacques was saying, you have that communication. That is everything.
Yeah, and Becky, how many times have you heard me say it? I know Harvey has, and Lisa say it. Money is money. Where we as a lender get our money from, or fund it, or pool it, and whether it's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, it does. Money's money. And I have a realtor sitting in front of me, Jacques, and he's very honest. And I'm going to ask him a question that goes like this, Jacques. Why would you want to present a house to a buyer if there's health and safety issues? No handrail, no step in the back, electrical situations,
Peeling paint,
all that kind of thing, right? So you are going out and doing those repairs because you know it's the right thing to do. Maybe, and I say the word maybe, big word, right, Beck? Maybe it won't get cited conventional. Maybe that's what people are counting on. But we have a conscience. We want to make sure that our buyer is in a house that there are no health and safety risks.
Right.
So big deal. You got to put a GFI plug in.
Yeah, we're talking these. Usually the
Right?
FHA repairs are very minor, a couple $100 to get everything done. Usually on the average, right? I mean, we're not talking thousands and thousands of dollars here.
Right. Yeah. And again, it goes back to why would you want to put someone in the house? So you're seeing right now is what we're seeing is a lot of these homes that we're seeing on the market, they were rentals before and they're landlords.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these landlords are saying, you know what, I am realizing a huge profit right now on a property I may have invested in. A lot of the landlords I work with are 2008 to 2011 is when they picked up the bulk of their properties that I do the property management for them. And they're seeing these huge gains, but a lot of investors are bottom line numbers, and bottom line is it's $150 here, $200 there. They don't want to do it. But I always tell when I am searching for buyers, if it's a life threatening issue, again, if there's mold in the crawl space, I'm dealing with one right now with mold in the crawl space, another one with mold in the attic. You cannot comfortably put a buyer in there. Would you put your own family in there? Is what I say to people.
Well, better
you have
yet,
to disclose it if you know. And so who's going to buy it when you've got a mold issue?
Correct.
It's
Get
going
more
to be
money.
harder.
How about you get more
In
money
that
for the house?
situation, It doesn't matter if it's FHA or conventional. Mold is always going to be an
Yeah.
issue.
And
That's
peeling
always
paint.
a
People
health and
think that-
safety. Yes.
Becky's right. And peeling paint, too. People think peeling paint is an FHA thing. It is not. You cannot have peeling paint, whether it's conventional or FHA. And I don't know why every agent, most agents, I won't say every, most agents are like, we got to go FHA. There's some peeling paint on the trim. Again, doesn't matter. Conventional is going to be cited as well.
Boy, we're getting mortgage and real estate
getting
geeky
mortgage,
right
digging
now.
in there.
We're diving deep.
Jock, if it's $300,000 or $800,000 house, doesn't it make sense if we stage houses? If we pay $1,200, $1,500
Right.
to have a professional stager come to get top dollar, wouldn't we do that on any home?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've sold houses $750,000. I've sold houses for $65,000.
Yeah.
I've been the buyer's agent and I've been the seller's agent, and I have one right now that's in a lower price range, and I feel that sometimes some agents don't give the same heart that they would to a larger commission.
Yeah.
But the fact actually is this, it's all about the transaction. To me, at least, doesn't matter if it's big or small. My transactions flow the same no matter the price cost. And some people say, "Well, I saw you sold those big, large houses with those big numbers. I want something for $100,000. Can you help me out?" Absolutely, because you start with a client now, you're building a lifelong relationship. And I feel that it's in my duty to serve the people the best we can.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter the price of the house. And if you're dealing with an agent that you feel doesn't give you the time of day because the house that you're buying isn't of a high value, then you need a different agent.
Correct.
That's it, period.
Alrighty, hey guys, we're up against a quick break here. We got lots to share with you still. Keep it here, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, welcome back to the show. It is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 23rd year, giving you great advice to save money on a mortgage, get great advice on your real estate purchase, and a whole lot more. Hey, I just saw it the other day. HGTV has a whole bunch of brand new shows on home inspections. That's right. I love the guy's tagline. He goes to his buyers, you're going to know more about this house than the seller. And that's important stuff. We'll talk about home inspections here in our last segment and everything mortgages and real estate. 248-539-9797. Harry, I got great news for you. If you've been lucky enough to save $39 million, Tony Montana's house it's on sale right now.
Really?
They cleaned up the mess finally from that last scene.
Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, that house just hit the market for $39 million soft. So
I told you, Tony. Don't ever.
It took him, I think, that long to clean up the mess from that movie.
Yeah.
But anyways, we
Love
digress
that
a
movie.
little bit here.
Very
But
strong movie. Came out in 1983, Harvey. Look it up.
Good.
1983.
That's-
I've only seen the
before I was
movie
born.
100 times.
And Harry, the interest rates then were probably
Right.
No, interest rates in 1983 were a lot higher than they are now.
Weren't they double digits?
They were
11 or
way
12?
into double digits.
Maybe?
No, they were higher than that.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
They were
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
It's like credit
248
card almost.
1983. Check it out, everybody. Call.
248-539-9797. Sneak your call in here in our last segment of the show. We got Becky Alley still joining us, myself, Harvey. We got Harry next to me. We got Lisa Lawson over here. Jacques Gagnon, always talking real estate. In between these, the time we're on the air, of course, during the breaks, we still talk real estate and mortgages.
Imagine that. Isn't
We
that
just
a fun
keep it
thing to do?
going. It
Yep,
just never
yep.
stops here. And of course, we're dedicated to giving some of the fastest turnaround times. Call Capital Mortgage. You got to have a trusted advisor. You said it 1,000 times, Jacques. If you say it again, we're going to play that game where you got to do a shot or something like that. But from application to closing, you got to have a trusted advisor. And after the fact, too, because there's so much involved in here. You used to ask the question, how long are you going to stay in the house? Well, that question now is turned to, how long do you need to keep this mortgage? Because there might be a better plan if you have more professionals.
Yeah, they're fundamentals no matter what the real estate market is, whether it's up, whether it's down, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, whether 5 offers, 10 offers, no, you're the only offer on there. There's certain fundamentals that are still in play. Okay, and one of them, we talked about, Harvey, one of them is getting a home inspection. Now, I know that there are people out there waiving home inspections. I just don't think it's a great idea. Now, if your mother's brother's sister's father's uncle is a great handyman, a builder and everything, and you have them go in there, I mean, maybe, okay, maybe that's the exception. There's always an exception to every rule. But the fundamentals are the same. You do not want to go in and buy a house blind and not know what's going on there, because it could be tens of thousands of dollars to you if you pick the wrong house, right? So the fundamentals are the same. It's like doing layups before a game. Do you just walk out of the locker room and start the game? No, you're going to see Michigan State and Purdue go in a layup line. They're going to do their shooting drills. They're going to stretch. They're going to do all that because that's what you need to do, because it's fundamentals. You need to get a home inspection, everybody.
Yeah, so the home inspection thing, waiving home inspections, it's a huge no-no in my book as far as a listing agent and a buyer's agent. So I do both sides of it. If I'm with a buyer and the other deals are waiving home inspections and the listing agent is kind of hinting maybe you should do that too, that's not a good thing. There's things behind walls. There's molds and crawl spaces. I had we're working with one of my investors right now. We have a house in Hazel Park, and we were talking about waiving the home inspection because, we're going to do the work anyways. I said, no, let's just get a second evaluation. Well, lo and behold, we get in the crawl space, and the sink drain was never connected to the main sewer line.
What a mess.
So for the last 50 years, you can imagine what kind of erosion's going on under the crawl space, and you can imagine even more the mold.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it. When I write my offers, I will write inspections in, but for information purposes only.
Right, pass fail.
We
Either
want
we're
to
doing it or
educate our buyers with what the house has. We don't want to nitpick the deal, but if it's life-threatening, we're going to address it because that's the right thing to do.
Right.
If that seller won't work with you there, I promise you there's going to be more to it than just what you pointed out to them. So never waive your home inspection, but make sure you work with someone that knows how to reword the idea of the due diligence period for more of an educational purposes thing than a deal breaker.
Right. And if I've had clients say the same thing. Should I waive it? They think it's going to give them an edge up, and I'm like, absolutely not. A, that's how you're going to get all the information about the house that you're going to potentially be living in for the very long time. Secondly, if something's wrong, you have no recourse. You can't sit there and say, well, I didn't know, and try to go back at the seller. It was your choice to waive that inspection. That's your protection period. You have to take it. Like I said, I usually do I kind of do the pass fail. You can make it not contingent on the results of the inspection. So whatever the inspection says, You're not going to ask the sellers to make those repairs unless they're life-threatening or a major
Yeah,
health or safety concern.
life-threatening.
But you don't move on. You just say, you know what? Due to the results of the inspection,
Yeah.
we're not moving forward. Now, if the seller wants to know what those results are, that's fine. But you have to do more, approach it that way to give yourself the edge. You can't-
Jacques, you talk about the professionalism as everything involved in a transaction. The sequence, Lisa, we got first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
They're buying these homes between 150 and 250,000. They have well and septic systems in them. Forget about the house being old and nasty. These septic systems are even worse.
And Harvey, what's your favorite thing? Go ahead.
Well, you got to get they got to do the well and septic. So
Yeah.
the sequence is you don't do a home inspection because you got to first find out if the septic field, because if the septic field's no bueno, then you get $14,000 or
Yeah.
$12 or $10,000 there. It doesn't matter if the other part's any good. You might not have the money to put the deal together. So the sequence and smart people involved in a transaction. So often when I get a first-time home buyer and they start working with the agent, I go, well, what about the well and septic? They don't even know about a well and septic. So
Right.
again,
In Macomb
guys,
County,
Macomb County, they are required.
they're required.
Um,
So we're used to dealing with it all the time.
But
so for
even
us,
then,
it seems like second nature.
but even then, there's still issues about it. So even
Yeah.
in Macomb County or Oakland County, when I have a buyer, there's a septic, I start calling around to the, if I can't find out what company cleaned it last,
Yeah.
I'll call around to the different cleaning companies, the top 5, and usually it's one of them.
Yeah.
In Macomb, I know everybody.
Hey,
I
did
can
you
tell
do
you
this
who
house?
cleaned,
Right.
who cleaned your septic, and I get an aged verification on the septic alone. So we have some kind of idea about it.
Right.
But again, those septic tanks, especially for the first-time home buyer, it's a huge cost if you have to replace those. And it's not an easy task. It's a very stinky task.
Yeah.
It's
And
not something that
expensive.
you want to be involved in when you just put your brand new home that you bought for 3-5% down and you have nothing left.
Yeah.
You don't want to have
And you have to replace a septic field.
Yeah, so it's all about education and it's about being smart, and don't forego the basic necessities of a buyer in this market. It's not worth it to give up on certain things, which are home inspections and things like that, because it will come back to haunt you in the end. It's a very, very sad and scary thing to deal with.
Harvey, what about your favorite thing?
What was my favorite thing here? I got lots of favorite
Pool.
things.
Yeah,
Which one do you think?
number one favorite thing is putting a camera down the sewer line.
Oh, yeah. The sewer inspections have been dynamite for families, so
Forever.
they don't have a problem. Right. This isn't something new. If you look outside and the tree's 100 foot tall, well, underneath it, the roots are too, and that's tearing up these old clay. And again, many of the homes here in Michigan or really across the country are 45 years. I think the average age of a home is somewhere around 45 years old.
And the sewer
that's across the
inspections are
United
not
States.
expensive. It's not an expensive offer. And if you're working with the right inspector, they're a very, very cost-effective way to know what's going on. Main sewer line repairs, things of that nature, those are such big expenses that you won't ever see, but you will definitely feel in your pocketbook.
Consumer Advocate Show that wants to save you money and make sure home ownership works out for you and your family members. Definitely refer your family to us. We'll get you hooked up with the right people. Call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker right here in your own backyard. Again, we do loans everywhere, not only in Michigan, everywhere, but across the United States. Also, Harry, little warning out there. We're seeing more and more of it. Solicitations. Your mortgage is a recorded document, folks. This is getting scarier.
so bad.
There's a lot of people that want to pull the wool over your eyes and make it look. They're disguising themselves, Harry's, as complete strangers. Tell us about it.
So right now, what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of desperation in the mortgage and real estate market. Okay, a lot of mass mailers going on, a lot of bad information, email. You're getting calls, phone solicitations, letters indicating that they might be affiliated with your lender or your realtor, but they're really not. You've got to read everything now. Do not reply to email that you don't know where it's coming from. Okay, that it's a phishing expedition, and you
You'll
could
get hacked.
get caught in there. Front page of Detroit News Today. Take a look.
Uh-oh.
Michigan,
All right,
you got to
so-
read it out. They can't
so
see us
I
on
don't
the
want,
radio.
I don't want anybody, I'm not going to plug anybody, and I just want everybody to take a look what's going on in the market right now. So there are a lot of desperation. There's a lot of desperation right now in the market. There's a lack of inventory. People are scratching their head. What am I going to do? But if you're getting these mass solicitations, you better call somebody that you know. If you're getting crazy things on your mortgage, give us a call. We'll tell you if it's legitimate or not, because the volume of letters, phone calls, and email, right, Harvey? And Harvey brings it to me every day. Harvey sent me an email yesterday with pictures of how many letters that somebody got in Florida, one of his clients. There were 8 letters on the same day.
He
Guess
closed,
what? Well,
right. Florida's
everybody-
really desperate.
Well,
Look out.
Guess what? Everybody knows I just closed my own refi at the end of January. I can honestly say I've probably gotten at least 12 solicitations because they look at public record. They're like, oh, there's something new recorded. They find the public record, and next thing you know, I'm getting solicited for tons of refinances. Or, hey, send me $100. I'll get you a copy of your deed. That's another big one.
Yeah, you don't
already
need
got
to do
a copy
that.
of the deed.
Yeah.
You don't need to do
You know,
that.
you don't need to do that. So here's the deal. I don't know about Harvey. I know I do it. I'm sure Harvey does too. We at closings, I tell people, you're going to get bombarded.
Yes.
Ignore it all. You're going to get information to pay for your deed. You've already paid for it. You're going to get information to refinance. You don't need to. You're going to get
information for insurance,
for mortgage
credit
insurance
life
programs,
insurance,
for life
everything.
insurance. Right. Ignore all of it. If there's something that you read that's questionable, you take a picture of that letter and you send it to me. Because I don't want anybody to get themselves in a pickle. And I tell that to every person, whether it's their 10th home they've bought or their first, because there's so much junk out there. And I don't want any of our clients to get caught up in it. Because these things that they mail look extremely official, and they usually reference us as a
Logoed and
lender.
everything. Yep, logoed and
yeah.
everything. So
Right.
the attempts to gain data right now, they're at the highest I've ever seen
Yeah.
personally with on my phone alone. So it's called the fishing expedition for a reason, and protect your identity. Do not click on even the links when you get a text message.
Yeah, just
you
delete it.
This qualified for this. Click on this link.
Yeah.
Don't do anything without being smart. There's some very tech savvy people out there that are very brilliant that should put that to a good use instead they're putting it towards a negative
Yep.
situation.
Criminals will find ways. And by the way, the IRS, it's that time of year right now. The IRS, they don't make outbound phone calls.
Right.
Okay, so you're not getting a call from the IRS.
Correct.
So don't fall for that one.
All right, we'll be back next Saturday with more consumer advocate information. Be sure to call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Again, we got Jacques Skagnon we want to thank for stopping by. For Lisa Lawson, Harry Glantz, I'm Harvey Free. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Pat Caputo coming up with sports and social commentary.